All right, everybody. Welcome once again. I have a new practice board. This is plastic. It's a frame again, but this is plastic, not glass. So we're going to try it out. Anywho, this video is on how to fix mistakes. I've had a few people ask, one in particular quite recently, and I apologize. I don't recall your handle on YouTube, but I appreciate you asking. So I thought I'd make a video on how I fix my mistakes. I'd like to give you a list of options to begin with. I wrote it down because I forget things. So one option, if you make a mistake, if you feel comfortable, depending on your skill level or what it's going to be on, is it a gift, is it actual work that you're getting paid for, totally up to you. But one option is keeping the mistake. If it's not that big of a deal, why go through the headache of fixing it? If it's a little teeny tiny bit off, it's hand painted. It's gonna happen. So it doesn't have to be 110% perfect, although we do strive for perfection. So number one, you can keep the mistake if you're comfortable with that. Number two, wiping it off. I will show you some examples of how to wipe off a mistake, even if you go across a couple of already existing lines. This is wet paint. I just did that kind of to help with the example. A third option is to make it a part of the design. So if one is extended a little further than the other, maybe you could do a line underneath it or above it to make it kind of match and connect them. And there are ways I will show you how to do that. And the final option is to wipe it off completely and start over. Never be ashamed to do that. If you got to do it to get the best results, that's what we aim for. So if you got to wipe it all off, sometimes it's just the best route. So I'm going to show you how I wipe off a mistake. I'm paleting right now the paint into the brush. And I'm going to try to make these lines as thick as possible so that you can see it. Because unfortunately it's hard to get a good angle with this type of art because you got to hover over the canvas. So let's say you're drawing some lines, right? And we're going to go like this. And it goes down and it connects to that teardrop, right? You do another line, and this one is let's just say it's really far off. I mean, it's super far off. Right? So that is highly out of sorts. That would be an option that I would choose to wipe off because it doesn't cross into anything. You can start over. Now it does connect to this teardrop, so you're going to want to wipe into that teardrop a little bit and then fix that. So how you do that is you grab a piece of shop towel. They look like this. This is what I use. They don't put off a lot of lint. And I'll spray it with isopropyl alcohol, so rubbing alcohol. Usually the higher the percentage, the better. Or you can use denatured alcohol, or you can use mineral spirits. But this is kind of your best bet. So I'll spray some on there. I'll fold it into a nice little corner. See that? And I will wipe clean. And I will wipe into that teardrop so I know that I've got all of it. Now, this is also a part of practicing. Making sure you're not smearing other lines and making sure you're not leaving any residue behind. Now, right now, I'll tell you, this alcohol is not wiping that well, so I'm going to dip into my mineral spirits and try that. See, just a little dab in there. And that's actually getting it off a lot better. So, one of the other options is mineral spirits, which is what I reduce with. Now, I'll blow on it to make sure it's kind of dried off. and I've eaten into this line. So I will then fix this line, which is it's part of practicing, is going over the lines a few times. Sometimes you got to do it. So you got to be comfortable with going over a line maybe once, twice, 3 times, whatever. And now that I've fixed that, I will try harder this time to make sure it's even and having it land where it's supposed to. And there I have fixed an easy mistake. That's an easy one. An even harder one would be something that crosses into other lines. Now again, this has to do with your skill level. You know, this is why we practice. Do you really want to take a gamble and cross through these lines if you're not at that point? So you practice as much as you can, and yes, you practice wiping as well. So let's say I've decided to go out, right? I'm going to come out of here and hit this point. Let's pretend this is another color altogether, right? That was a whole different color. You want to keep some extra of your original color, which we're pretending now, in case that you have to redo those lines, which in this example, you will have to redo those lines. So it's always good to mix a little extra paint. If you're going to be doing 2 or 3 colors, it's always good to keep those other colors in hand. If they are, say, custom mixed, you've mixed white and red to make something custom, try to mix a little extra. If it's just a color you pulled out of the bottle or out of the can, then you're fine. You can just pull some more out of the can. It's not a big deal. This here is emerald green, so, you know, that wouldn't be an issue. So here I'm going to show you a mistake where you have to wipe off some of a pre-existing design, right? So I went too far out on this one. It's not matching. You may not be able to tell from the angle, but this one is higher than this one. So I'm going to wipe it off, but it's going to go through that pre-existing design. I've made this decision. I'm going to wipe it off, and I'll show you how to do it. Once again, you get a piece of towel. At this point, you want to be very precise. So maybe turn it into even pointier. I'm going to dip it in my mineral spirits this time, because I noticed that wiped a little better. Now, very, very precise as possible. Wipe into here, cut into that design. All right, try to clean out the inside of it. Try to clean out around it. Try to clean up in between. And again, this is all a part of practicing. Determining whether or not you want to cut in through there, if you're feeling comfortable or not, you know. If you're doing a customer's job, you might not want to take chances, you know. So depending on how you're feeling on your comfort level. So I've wiped now through that, and let's just say that was a different color. So you pull out your original color. I always blow on it and make sure it's dry, because if not, you'll slide all over the place. Now you're going to fix this. Again, going over the same exact lines, keeping it the same width. Now you fix that little kind of an open teardrop shape. Now you can fix this again, because you've eaten into this now. One more time. Right? So that's back to normal. That's back normal. You're back to square one. This time when you pull that line, I suggest you don't mess up. So you start here, and oh my goodness, it looks right. It actually doesn't, but let's just pretend it did. Which kind of leads me to another thing, right? This one's lower than this one. like I said, one of the things you can do is turn it into part of the design. So maybe you can make this a line that goes from thick to thin, right? This is hitting lower than this one. So maybe I can make this line thicker coming out, which now is parallel to this one, but this one doesn't go as high, so I will add some on top. So now they are the same thickness. They are both hitting the same exact spots. Now at first one was higher, the other one was lower, something like that. So now I've made them both thick by adding some on each side and creating what looks to be on purpose. Now when you do this kind of thing, you want to ask yourself, will the design support something like that, or will it throw it all off? Do you have very thin lines throughout? All of a sudden you got one thick line. You know, maybe you want to thicken up the rest at certain points to make it look cohesive. Another option like that I'm going to show you guys. Let's just go out, right? So I'm going to go from here to there. Always making sure your connections look nice. All right? That hits there. I'm going to do the same thing over here, except I'm going to mess up on purpose, right? It's going to go out, and this one's going to go too far down. Right? So that one's gone too far. What you can do is add some over here to go like this and kind of make it a double line, right? Because this one is going to be now what this is. And you can add a line underneath this one where this one ends. Like so. So now, instead of having one that goes too far and one that goes too short, you've now added the missing part. And you can connect them however you feel, however you think is right. If you want to make them round, you can make them round. If you want to make them sharp, you can make them sharp. Now that is going to give you a completely different feel, but is a way to fix it without having to wipe that line completely off. One more, I'll show you another example of that, but real exaggerated. So here, I decided to pull a line that goes like this. Right? That one's going to hit that point. Now this one's going to go way down here. So that's a huge mistake, right? So what you can do is, again, have one that goes out to here and one that goes out to there, and then either connect them or figure out a way for them to stand alone. So this one is missing that, and this one is missing one that goes way down here. So let's do that. And it's just a way of kind of saving the design in some way. Well, I was way off. I guess that didn't work out. Well, shit. I can do it again, right? It goes like that, right there. I was too busy talking, y'all, when I did it. This one goes way down here. So then you can connect them. Alright. And then, you know, try to make sure your little gaps look the same. If this gap comes down here and this one doesn't, well, just swipe that down. Make that line thicker to where your gaps look the same. And if it looks like crap, like it does right now, get yourself some mineral spirits and get rid of that sucker. And redo if you're not feeling like it went well. Life's too short for bad designs, y'all. Just trying to dry that up. I cleaned it off really quickly. You could also use a towel to get rid of that residue. So I'm going to show you again how to wipe something off. Because that's, I think, mostly what people are looking for when they ask, how do you fix something? Hopefully this didn't get too, hopefully it didn't get too weird on you guys. So I'm just going to make a little teardrop, right? I'm going to run a line straight through it. I don't like that line. Came out crooked. I pushed too hard at the end. Dab your corner of your paper towel. Make it a nice corner. Use just that corner and wipe that off. Now you are going to have to get in between there to clean out that little bit. So get a nice sharp edge. Push it out. Push that out. Clean that up. Make sure you're not leaving any residue, any little streaks. Those do clean off later too, but the sooner you get them, the better, right? Make sure it's dry, don't spit on it. Fix this by having it the same width as the original line. Fix the other side. Now, if you're feeling like you're having a hard time getting that line, feel free to start from the top. Make it a little thicker if you need to. You know, all this stuff just takes a lot of time and practice. Does not come overnight. It comes with 3 or 4 nights a week, as often as possible. All right, so I fixed that. If you're feeling like your lines are a little funny and you don't want to try to get them nice, you can always fill it in. And then you only have an edge to work with if you need to try to clean that up. Right, so I'm going to do like this. And then I'm going to go too far out on this one just to show you how to fix that. By adding this line underneath this and then adding one that way, you can kind of save that. So I'm going to add one that goes too far on this side. So this is going to go something like this. All right. So now that matches that. Now I need one to match this here. This is not like my recommendation as to what to do, but it is an option. Right? forward early. Bam. So now this matches this and this matches this. When we first started, we only had this short one and this long one. So I added a long one, added a short one. Now you can do what you want with those two. Maybe add a swoop that goes downward. Like that. Fix that corner. Blam. So these are just ideas. Hopefully that helps. Keep in mind when you're designing something, you know, practice it as much as you can at the house before you go wiping a bunch of things at a motorcycle show or at a client's house. Understand your skill level, what you're capable of. That way you're not out there sweating bullets trying to fix something. If you need a grid, don't be afraid to use a grid. There's nothing wrong with having guidelines to make sure the stuff is correct. If not, you're just going to be guessing, and that takes quite a while to get that eye. I personally have cataracts in my right eye, so I have a hard time judging where things go. Even now without a grid, you know, it's a little difficult. So I hope that helps. I know I got a little crazy there for a little minute, so that's why I did this one. Let me know what you think, and if you got any other questions, feel free to ask. Remember, your options are you can either keep the mistake, you can wipe it off, you can make it a part of the design, or you can just start over. Good luck. I hope that helps. Let me know if you guys have any other ideas for videos. All right, I'll talk to you later.